Can you beat Valheim with no map and no portals? Beating the Black Forest biome had been a colossal effort, and I was looking forward to moving on. My search for the Elder had been a long and arduous one, but it did allow me to map out much of the surrounding area. I decided to take my first dip in the swamps by heading to this small patch in the south. I knew it was small, but potentially it could provide some valuable resources like some roots, ancient wood, or even some turnip seeds. Sure enough, it was small, but it happened to have an abomination, which looked eerily similar to a product of a cleanse I did after eating nothing but Taco Bell and Baja Blast for a week. The cleanse diet, for those of you wondering, consisted of nothing but maple syrup, lemon juice, and cayenne pepper, and believe it or not, it was even worse than it sounded. There were also some Draugr, one of which eerily resembled a guy I walk past every time I go to my local gas station to get a Mountain Dew, maple bar, and a bag of those succulent nerd gummy clusters. I harvested some ancient trees, which looked like the plants on my windowsill I bought last year and then forgot about. I even found a few turnip seeds, of which I have nothing to say, besides the fact I'm happy to get them. I planted the seeds back at my base, and decided that I would like to try one more thing before heading to that larger swamp I had discovered over by the Elder. I hadn't found the merchant yet. My search for the Elder had also included looking for him, so I was very confident that he wasn't to be found anywhere in the places I had already looked, which was north, south, and east of my base. You see, how the merchant works is that in each seed he has multiple places he can spawn, but he only spawns in the first place you happen to discover. I really need that strength belt of his, and now that the game is going to naturally take me farther and farther away from the beginning of the map, it would be an absolute disservice to myself long term to have him spawn in a place freaking far away. From my search for the Elder, I knew that there is a rather large continent on the west side of this island, right by my base. In fact, I even spent some time on the northern part of it. All things considered, it's not that far away from me, and since I haven't explored it yet, there is a high chance the merchant could be there, and oh how convenient would it be if he was. I decide to give it a try. Remember how I mentioned that I didn't know anything about navigating in Valheim without the map? How up to this point I've been going based on trial and error? Well, it's about this point that I make the most amazing discovery. It's the tree. The big tree Yggdrasil in the sky. The tree that I have traveled beneath for hundreds of hours over the past 5 years, but only now realized could be the most reliable means of navigation. The tree is stationary. It rises from the east and branches out to the west. If you travel south or north, the tree will stay hovering over the middle of the map. By making a mental note of where my base is in relation to the tree, I can always make my way back, just by stopping and looking up. Like the Polynesian islanders of old, who sailed across the seas and navigated by observing the constellations in the night sky, I too could use that tree as a constant reference to know where I am in the world and what directions I need to go. Knowing this sooner would have saved me a butt ton of time in my Elder search. But as the French say, no use crying over spilled baguettes. It is time to embrace my inner monkey and put my tree navigating skills to the test. Hopping in my ship, I sail west, past the Meadow Island, and land on the continent on the other side. I do not know if it's true, but I've heard that the merchant always spawns by water, and through every playthrough I have done, that has always checked out. With that being my assumption, I hug the southern coast, which goes south only for a little before turning sharply west. The run is negligible. By this point, I fear nothing the Black Forest has to offer. The southern part of this landmass has an almost moon crescent shape before turning east again. It is along this part of the land here that I make a fantastic discovery. No freaking way. Oh my gosh. There he is, in all his glory, and wonderfully cheery music. I'm feeling very accomplished, knowing that he isn't too far off now. Now I just need to ensure I can reliably and consistently find my way back to him. Putting my skills to the test, I use the tree as a reference for where I should go, and I begin to carve a path, from the merchant, through the forest, all the way across the continent to the coast on the other side. I then mark the beginning of the path and follow the coast south to where, sure enough, I find my boat. The merchant is spawned, and I now have a path to get to him, I just can't stop, non-stop winning. With another victory under my belt, I load up for my first venture to the larger swamp over by the Elder. The starting continent is very long from north to south, making sailing around it very time-consuming. It is far easier to travel by foot to this area here and take off from there. Sailing one way to the swamp from here takes 10 minutes with good wind. With average wind, it's about 20 minutes. And with the obtrusive, obnoxious wind that loves me, it takes about 3 SpongeBob episodes. I decide to sail around the swamp and make a small base right here on the sliver of black forest right next to it. I make a small house, fill it with chests, and make my first venture into an actual quality swamp. I head for the closest crypt I can see, and am surprised to see the most magical sight one could experience. Bonemass in all his gooey glory is right here in this very swamp. I was already dreading the idea of another painful search, and having it just handed to me on a silver platter is a rush only comparable to the rush little PogChamps must feel when they donate their life savings to their favorite female streamer, who responds in kind by saying their name, followed by the phrase, "Thank you so much," before moving on and not giving them a second thought. My strategy at this point is now much clearer. Full clear every crypt in this swamp, make several rounds, killing every abomination I see, then kill Bonemass, and move on to that giant mountain on my base continent. As sound a strategy that has ever been stratted. The Stag Breaker continues to prove itself as an S-tier weapon. It damages enemies through the walls and guck. It's super effective against the blobs, and is great at taking care of the meat piles. Does great damage and pushes enemies far away. 9 out of 10 heart surgeons agree, and the 1 out of 10 surgeons are actually just horse heart surgeons. I clear a few crypts, kill a few abominations, and then load up my spoils, sailing back home and make some armor, iron weapons, do my rounds of harvesting and planting, and craft my first longship, which will be incredibly handy with its extra storage and speed. I then return to the swamp in my fancy new ride and drip. I rotate between clearing out crypts and doing rounds around the swamp, hunting abominations for their skins. Let me just take a minute to say that I absolutely love abominations from a design point. Big, imposing, theatrical, yet easy to face as long as you are confident. Their resistance to arrows discourages the otherwise OP, archery-only style in an organic way. Their attacks hurt, but they are slow and very telegraphed. That, along with their weakness to slash, rewards those confident enough to dive headfirst into the belly of the beast. I love this enemy design, always have, always will. A few hours later, and all the crypts are pillaged, and I have more than enough roots to craft and upgrade my armor. I load my plunder up, head back to base, haul all that scrap iron cross-country, and start the slow, tedious process of smelting, cutting wood, harvesting, replanting, etc, blah blah blah. I upgrade my iron sword, tower shield, mace, and root armor, saving the vast majority of iron I harvested for a future project. During this time, I begin to brainstorm my strat for taking down Bonemass. Historically, he has always been the boss I struggled the most with, and I want to come over-prepared. My idea is to use a hoe to build a dirt wall around the sacrificial altar. This will prevent other things from coming in, allowing me to just focus on the big man and the ads he spawns. He is weak to blunt, and also weak to frost. My idea is to kite him around my makeshift arena, running in and hitting him with the mace, running out and shooting him with frost arrows whenever he does his big poison vomit thingy. I craft some frost-resistant mead, and make my way to the large mountain to mine some obsidian and harvest some frost glands from the flying blue boys. I spend 20 minutes running there, crossing the river, and scaling that mountain just to discover that my bronze pickaxe is not strong enough to mine the obsidian nodes. It truly has been a while since I've played this game. I then spend 19 minutes running back to my base, crafting an iron pickaxe, and then spend another 20 minutes running back to this stupid mountain. I harvest the goods I need, craft some frost arrows, suit up for the battle of a lifetime, and sail to my destiny. I arrive at the swamps and begin to build my wall. It looks a little close to the altar in some places, but that shouldn't be an issue. Building like this requires a lot of stone, but thankfully with the black forest so close, it's easy to mine large amounts. During this stonework, I'm rudely startled by this big boy who I don't notice until he's right freaking on me. Oh, One panic attack later, I finish my wall, place a few sheltered fires, and begin the fight of a lifetime. I eventually get him back into the arena. Let that be a lesson for you guys and girls out there. Take your time and do it right the first time. My strategy does end up working. I kite him, run back, shoot him, and run back in and kite him again, always taking the time to take out the ads so as to prevent myself from being overwhelmed. The blob boy goes down, and I successfully beat the swamp biome with no map, no portals. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you did not enjoy the video, please be sure to dislike and subscribe so that you can continue to hate watch. Thank you so much, everyone. Farewell.